just as a heads up for people listening, sorry if there's any extra background noise. There's some construction going on. We'll do our best to clean it up, but otherwise just enjoy the nice low hum.
I thought you were calling out our 4 listeners. Just a heads up, 4 people listening. It's like, wow.
We have more than that.
Okay.
At least we have some bots.
Yeah. I love the bots.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
I mean, it often is that Sean will intro the movie and then you will re-intro it.
Yeah.
It's a great formula.
Yeah, I mean, the system works.
It's
obviously.
a mansplaining podcast. And I'm just practicing on Sean.
Welcome back to Cage Match, starring Nick and Sean. I am Sean,
And I'm Nick.
with our producer.
Peter, hello. This is a roundabout way of meeting Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. So a little behind the curtains scene right now. We haven't recorded in a few weeks because of just scheduling things and me having to travel. And it is currently almost 9 in the morning, I think.
Which is the wrong time for podcasting, other than sexy voices.
Yeah. So welcome to a very special Cage Match in the morning. Get your mimosa and your finest robe. Sit back and listen to us debate the finer points of one of America's greatest actors.
Definitely our snappiest intro. So this is a podcast where we're going to put 64 Nicolas Cage movies head to head against each other, and we're going to figure out which one is the best. I don't know if somebody said that before. I was kind of staring at my beverage.
Peter, you said you did the math that we've done 20 movies so far?
Yeah, this is, we've watched 20 Nicolas Cage movies at least one time. Yeah. Well, I guess I haven't. I've skipped a couple of the ones that I really thought were going to make me want to die.
But you still watch Dog Eat Dog.
I did.
And Ghost Rider.
I did.
Yeah.
And we're going to make you watch one of them again.
Your decision-making skills suck.
Yeah, I'm bad at this.
So this week, our matchup is 1987 Coen Brothers classic Raising Arizona versus 1994 Thing, Trapped in Paradise.
Period comedy.
Yeah. Peter, as I said, it's been like 3 weeks. Do we usually just go into a film now?
Yeah, you basically just kind of start. I mean, how about Raising Arizona?
All right. I can see why my friends back east think you should be a host. So
They're wrong. We don't have the budget for that.
Yeah, that's right. We have one patron. Thank you, Josh. We love you.
I guess sign up for our Patreon.
Yeah. It helps us be better.
It'll eventually pay for the mimosas.
Or part of a Sparkle Buddy.
I mean, we could just have the Sparkle Buddy tier.
Yeah,
where
I
you
like
get
that.
to call yourself a Sparkle Buddy.
Ooh.
Oh, that's actually really good.
All right.
Well done. Well thought.
No, you're welcome.
All right. So 1987's Raising Arizona, directed by the Coen Brothers, starring Nicolas Cage as H.I. McDonough, Holly Hunter as Ed, and John Goodman as Gale. In brief, repeat criminal H.I. McDonough falls in love with the local cop, Ed. After his third parole, he proposes, they get hitched, move into their nice starter home trailer, and decide to start a family. Things don't necessarily go as planned when Ed finds out she's barren, so they steal the favorite child of local unpainted furniture magnate, Nathan, Arizona. Hilarity ensues. Without getting into too much detail in the synopsis, those are the broad strokes of the film. Ed's best friends from prison break out and come and stay with them.
Not Ed's best friends. Hi's best friends.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Hi. That kept throwing me off because I'm like, is his name Hyde?
It's Hi.
It's
Herbert I. McDonough.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Ed does not like them because she is former law enforcement and baby crazy, I think is the only way to put it. She has her husband steal a baby.
I think her biggest reservation is that she was a cop and she knows they broke out of prison.
I mean, considering everything else they've done at this point, I don't know if that's a big reservation for her.
Hey, Grand Theft Baby is not the same as tunneling out of prison. And they had too many babies, more babies than they could handle. It said so.
It was in the
news.
newspaper.
I don't know, man. I think they did them a favor.
So this was my first time watching this film. I'd never seen this film before. I know it was, it's the Coen Brothers' second film. I think they're funny, good writing boys.
This was my first time as well, I believe. I think I maybe caught little bits of it when like Josie was watching it on TV. I don't know. It was a first sit down watch through for me. and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was a nice romp. There's a lot of great Coen Brothers aspects of the movie.
Yeah.
It's got a nice clip. The dialogue is all great.
It does move fairly rapidly. Like in the first, 8 minutes, we see H.I. get arrested 3 times, paroled 3 times, and get married.
Yeah.
Very truncated intro, introduces all the main players.
Yeah, they don't waste a lot of time.
What was H.I.'s MO usually, criminal-wise?
Are you quizzing me?
I'm quizzing you.
No. He robbed convenience stores. That's his thing. He
That was
really
his
liked
thing.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like his white whale.
Yeah.
Like, convenience stores, always.
Yeah. Always with an unloaded gun.
Yeah, it's not armed robbery.
It's not armed robbery if there's no...
Yeah, so he robbed convenience stores all the time. It kind of had like a romanticized relationship with robbing convenience stores, which just comes up throughout the movie.
I mean, he also had a romanticized relationship with this cop who just took his mugshot every time he got dragged in there.
Well, she was like a beautiful desert flower.
I mean, the lines in this movie are so good.
Oh, it's so good. And Nicolas Cage's narration and his physical comedy in this is a lot of fun to watch. Like all the faces he makes, like when he's just like getting beat and he's got like just one eye open. And
According to the Coen brothers, he got really into his hair during shooting this film. The more danger H.I. was in, the bigger the swoop would be, which I thought was a fun little detail.
yeah, his hair is wild.
Yeah.
I think it was by far the best comedic performance I've seen from him.
Intentionally comedic, because I've seen some funny Nick Cage.
I think this is just smoothly, like the whole movie has the same, like his character is just well defined.
Mm-hmm.
And this is credit to Joel and Ethan Coen, but well written. Everything just works throughout.
Yeah.
And his performance is so consistent. He doesn't have bad scenes. It's just everything that his character is in rocks.
Yeah. And it's a short film. It's only an hour 30.
Yeah.
It goes quick. There's no wasted screen time in this film. The cinematography, I love just them out in the desert, their little silver motorhome. When he's stealing the babies, there's a very great baby's day out scene where all the babies are like getting out of their crib and trying to go downstairs and he has to stop them while not getting caught.
Yeah, his tiptoeing is great.
Yeah.
His little leather like dance shoes or whatever he's wearing all the time. His old man shoes, as they would say in Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Oh, so many callbacks.
Oh, man.
All right. So,
I remember what we do here.
Yeah. I'm getting back.
I'm kind of amazed that we remember any of these.
It's all I do with my free time. So it's my only hobby these days.
So kind of getting more into some more of the beats of the film. So Ed is barren. They find out like they are very much trying to have kids. I think H.I. talks about how they, kind of plan her cycles so they can have their best chance at. And then they just do it the rest of the time too, just in case. Like he gets tackled coming home from the machine shop one day.
I'm going to throw my quote in here right now, but I loved this one. So it's High says, Edwina's insides were a rocky place where my seed could find no purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great line.
That is probably the best written line in this film, at least for Nick Cage. There's a lot of great lines in this film and a lot of quotable ones.
His note that he leaves her later in the movie is also pretty eloquent. So like High shows like he's got some kind of like poetry inside of him for somebody who robs convenience stores in like pantyhose on his head.
Son, you got panties on your head.
Yeah, he always sort of has like a vacant look on his face.
Yeah.
Like I kind of imagine, in cartoons where they like zoom into someone's brain and it's just like another animal like bouncing their arms up and down and doing the dance.
No, like he's a living cartoon. This is a live action cartoon.
Very much.
Even to the point of the action. So Edwina wants to have children. They can't. Decide to steal a baby because they can't handle 5 babies, clearly.
Yeah.
So makes him do it, which again, great physical comedy. One of the babies crawling under the crib and crawling after it, the tiptoeing. At one point he can't, he just leaves and he's like, feels bad about kidnapping someone's kid. And she's just like, get in there, High, and get me that baby.
Yeah, I want the baby.
And then
Give me the baby.
they get home and suddenly they're like, we're going to turn over a new leaf. We're going to be good parents. We're going to, no more crime. And she gets really mad whenever he never says it like a hard swear around the baby, but damn, she gets like, don't swear around the baby. And he's like, he's a troublemaker. It's like, no, he's perfect. It's like, I can see it in his eyes. He's got that spark.
Yeah, he's going to be a little outlaw or whatever they said.
And of course, as soon as like they have everything they want and life can be normal, High's friends break out of the clink in an amazing birth from the earth situation. I've seen that scene referenced in so many things and I've never known where it came from until now.
I just loved John Goodman like holding his brother over his head and just yelling.
Oh, John Goodman yells so good in this movie.
I've got to say, he stole it for me. Like, he's so good, and I can understand why the Coens ended up working with him a bunch of other times after this.
He is
he's amazing.
Best part of this film. Like, acting wise, is the best part of this film.
I wouldn't go that far, but I mean, he's great.
I think Peter.
Wait, who's your best?
Nicolas Cage.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say
like he's incredible.
Leonard Smalls.
In this. Yeah, Leonard Smalls. Leonard Smalls plays like a mercenary bounty hunter, and he comes in and they just show him like destroying everything in this narration of him like,
which is a dream sequence.
Yeah, being extra hard on all of the like good things, and the smaller and the cuter it is, the like more aggressive he is towards it. So he's like throwing grenades at rabbits. He takes a shotgun and he shoots a little lizard off of a rock.
So Nick, it's time for my favorite game. Let's see how big I can get that vein in the side of Peter's head to swell.
Oh, okay. Are you thirsty? Is it time for mouth noises?
No, I just I absolutely love that scene because Ghost Rider makes a callback to that scene when they do the riding through the desert.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I want to and I will use any chance I can to reference this cinematic masterpiece that is Ghost Rider that we have to watch again with Peter. And I'm just going to watch Peter.
I don't want to totally insert myself into this too much, but fuck Ghost Rider.
It's probably going all the way now.
Yeah. Just out of spite.
Your vote is cast.
Right.
And it doesn't matter.
We established last time that if you tell Nick to not do something, he's going to do it. So sorry, everyone.
It's
Ghost
a big
Rider
problem
wins.
I have.
Stop listening to the rest of the episodes.
But yeah, as things progress, things start to unravel. They find it difficult to hide the fact that they stole a baby. People are starting to kind of figure things out. High starting to come apart. I'm going to give my quote now because it's what got the best just chuckle out of me is he's narrating how hard things are at home right now. I even caught myself driving by convenience stores that weren't on my way home.
Yeah, I might as well give my quote as well, since we're at this moment. It's High saying, I even caught myself driving by convenience stores that weren't on the way home. I thought that really fucking slapped. That was a good quote. Yeah. Peter, do you have a quote that you want to share right now?
Yeah, the one about convenience stores was really good.
Nailed it. Okay. Stuck the landing. Thanks, guys.
But yeah, so eventually, after he beats up his boss for suggesting they swap on the drive home.
Let's be clear. Swap wives.
Swap wives. And maybe kids. He had the worst kids. Like, one of the kids is just writing fart in crayon on their wall. One kid is just spraying Nick Cage's white pants with a squirt gun and goes, Mr. McDonough peed himself! Mr. McDonough peed himself!
Yeah, those kids are all fucking
One of the
terrible.
kids had an eye patch and was just throwing Jello at High.
Yeah, it was a little girl. Just handfuls of Jello, like green Jello with berries in it.
Yeah.
So do you count this as a movie with a good kid or a bad kid situation? Because those kids sucked, but the baby was pretty rad.
Oh, Nathan Jr.?
Yeah.
Oh, he was just the sweetest little thing.
Yeah.
It just melts my heart.
I would say this goes in the good kid category because everyone who meets Nathan Jr. falls in love with that kid.
Yeah,
and then
immediately.
I mean, even
Gail and Yvel.
Yeah, Gail and Yvel at the end they kidnap the baby to turn it in for the reward, but then suddenly fall in love with it, and they're like, "This is our baby."
Well, they also keep leaving the baby on the top of the car, and then they'll like drive away, like they'll rob somebody, drive away, and it's like, "Oh, where's that baby?" And then they have to go back and twice even.
And then but the baby always just lands perfectly okay on the floor.
Yeah, it's always fine.
I've left things on the top of my car. That's not how that goes.
Have you left a baby on top of your car?
Not mine.
Well, then, wait.
After Ed kind of completely curtails his life, he goes into a convenience store to buy some Huggies, and just while he's in there decides to stick up the place. Ed sees him do this, gets out of the car, fuck you, ha, fuck you, and like drives off. As she's driving off, Hi turns back, and the convenience store teenager has a giant gun. I think they had like one gun for this movie, and everyone just had this massive, just fucking revolver. But then the cops immediately show up, and Hi is running through the street, holds up a guy in a pickup truck, gets him to drive off. Dogs start running after him. But just the sheer amount of, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Chaos,
but excessive force in this in this scene. Because there's a cop just literally sitting in the window of his car, just blasting away.
Cops are the worst.
Yeah. No, I mean...
So that's bad cop.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no, like, Nicolas Cage cops in this movie.
Yeah, there's no Nick Cage cops in either of these movies. But, like, the whole scene in the grocery store, because he runs into a grocery store to try and get away from the cops, and the cop is just shooting, like, running down aisles, just letting go. And then everyone in the store joins in, like the butcher pulls out a shotgun and just starts shooting at Nick Cage.
And there's dogs running through. Like, there's now a pack of dogs. It went from one dog in a backyard to just a pack of dogs chasing this lady with a shopping cart. It's a great scene.
Oh, also
it kind of reminded me of Birdie too, where like the little dogs have joined the pack.
Oh yeah.
There's another callback to another movie we watched. Nick Cage, like an adaptation, goes through a windshield. Well, the windshield was blown out, but he goes out the front of a car when it crashes.
Yeah.
This whole time though, it's that like yodeling music, right?
Oh yeah.
Again, this is a live action cartoon. And to the point where the bounty hunter that he dreams will find them one day is actually a real person.
Yeah. Leonard Smalls is there to find Gail and Yvel. He's there to find the two escaped prisoners and then finds out about this baby situation.
Solely by being atop a hill.
Yeah.
Looking down at a trailer.
Yeah. And then he extorts Nathan Arizona Sr. for more money, and then it becomes a whole thing.
Which turns into the climax of the film.
So that's how he gets roped into trying to find this baby.
Well, then, I mean, let's talk about Gail and Yvel steal the baby.
Let's talk about that.
What, them taking the baby?
No, I'm kidding.
Them taking the baby, losing the baby, getting it back, and then they're going to go rob a bank. Can't leave the baby in the car because if they get killed in the bank, no one will find the baby for days. So they bring the baby into the bank robbery, which has one of my favorite, just not Nick Cage lines of the film's like, all right, everybody freeze, get on the ground. Well, what is it? Do you want us to freeze? Get on the ground. Because if we freeze, we can't move. If we get on the ground, we can't freeze on account of us moving to get on the ground. Both these films had like really snarky people being bank robbed.
Well, they had almost the same bank robbery scenes.
That's
yeah,
true.
That's really true.
Of course, blue dye is put in the bag of the money they steal, which when it goes off in the car, everything's blue, and John Goodman is just screaming while trying to wipe paint off the windshield while careening out of control. I was dying. But of course, this leads to Ed and Hi trying to get the baby back and meeting the bounty hunter, and Nick Cage getting the ever-loving shit kicked out of him.
Oh, it was such an entertaining scene when he's got the board, like after he hits Leonard off the I'm just gonna keep calling him Leonard, off the motorcycle, and then throws the knife at him, and he catches the knife in the board, and he just gives us like this super just stony whoa.
Him trying to climb under the car to get away and just getting dragged back out by his ankles. He spits a tooth in Tex Cobb was the character's name.
Leonard. It's a way better bounty hunter name.
And of course, when he's pretty much being murdered, crushed there, Hi is just grabbing at Leonard, and Leonard's just got grenades on him. So he like finally gets away, gets dropped and shows the pin, and Leonard just stands there dumbfounded for like a solid 5 seconds before attempting to take off his vest, and then just meaty chunks.
Yeah, he's got 2 shotguns in his hands, so he can't like get them out of his hands fast enough to get the grenade away.
He gets gibbed.
Yeah.
Is it jibbed or gibbed?
I don't know. Put it in a comment. Tell me all about your vernacular, baby.
So they get the baby back. They decide to return it and to be forgiven for doing the right thing.
Well, he was going to give him money. And then he was like, oh, these motherfuckers. He doesn't say it. That means he's like, oh, you two stole the baby. And they're like, end of movie.
Yeah, we couldn't have our own. He feels bad for them.
Not necessarily. And then there's a dream sequence.
Extended dream sequence of them having a bunch of kids in the future, even though they say they're going to, they have a family and maybe things will work out. And I mean, considering he dreamed up, this cartoonishly evil bounty hunter, maybe he wills it, but it was a nice little cap on it.
Yeah. It's a positive outlook.
I have a few fun facts. One of my favorite shots in the film is during his first dream where he imagines Florence, Arizona, discovering the missing baby. And it's going through the fields in this like low angled shot, like shaky cam thing that is very reminiscent of Evil Dead 2. Because they were such huge fans of Sam Raimi that they wanted to do the up the building in the window scene.
So one of the things that I think is really fascinating about this, and anybody who listens to the Blank Check podcast has heard all this, but the Coens and Sam Raimi and Ted Raimi and Frances McDormand and Holly Hunter and fucking Kathy Bates were roommates.
Wow.
Weird.
Yeah. And one of the Coens is married to Frances McDormand, so it's like the start of it all was there. So there's a lot of like collaboration, and you think about like watching the early Evil Dead movies and this, and some of the fight scenes and stuff like that felt so fucking similar.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of love between those three.
That's a good segue into my next fun fact about collaboration. Apparently Nick Cage and the Coens really clashed on this one in terms of Nick Cage wanting to improvise more, put more of himself into it, like have more control over it. And he wasn't used to directors having a very tight, focused idea. And a lot of Nick Cage's improvised scenes were cut from the film because it clashed with like the view of the film was.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's funny. And not to dive into the next movie too early or anything, but the cast on Trapped in Paradise also clashed with their director.
Yeah.
But to the point where Nicolas Cage ended up directing a bunch of it.
Yeah.
And
they had the opposite problem
Yeah.
where the director didn't want to direct it.
yeah. And the actors didn't want to be in it.
Yeah. Apparently Kevin Costner auditioned for High 3 times.
That would not have been as good.
Probably the most interesting thing, just in terms of what I know about filmmaking, the script was written in 3.5 weeks, and it took 10 weeks to shoot.
I mean, this is early in the Coens' career, so that part kind of makes sense to me. Like a fairly short timeline, fairly tight budget.
Yeah.
I mean, they had one movie that had come out before
Blood
that
Simple.
was weird.
Yeah.
And they like really pivoted from that to this.
Well, they wanted to do something completely different, something more lighthearted. They wanted to do something funny. And I think they succeeded.
Yeah, it's funny and lighthearted.
Well, and then I have just a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you guys like the Coen brothers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like some of their films.
I feel like an idiot a lot of the times when I watch their movies. I think they are well written. I think they are good, but I'm often like, why is this good? Am I too dumb for this? And I'm now just like posturing that I like them because
Everyone
I'm
else does?
stupid and everyone else does.
I really like their writing. I love their dialogue. I'm going to be honest, in terms of the acting in this film, I was not blown away. It's just, it's meant to serve a purpose, and it works for what this movie is, but none of it like wowed me.
Well, it's not a realistic performance film. It's definitely a performance catered to the overall, artistic design of the movie.
I get that. I just don't know that it necessarily worked for me. But again, the writing is so snappy and so on point, which is what I absolutely love about that. About
the way they
Coens.
write dialogues. Great.
Yeah.
That's
And
what I love the most about
And
them.
my favorite Coen Brothers film is still Fargo, which is much more self-serious while still being a comedy and much more, not so much of a cartoon. And having never seen this film before, I think on my initial watch, that didn't click in until too late in the film for me to appreciate what was going on. Definitely looking forward to watching it again, be it for this or just on my own, just to really kind of go in there with the right mindset. Because it wasn't until a little over halfway when, all the shooting starts where I realized I'm like, oh, I'm watching a cartoon.
I kind of feel like because this is a morning episode, we need like morning radio sound effect board, like a toilet flushing right now, and then wah, wah, wah.
I can
We'll
go
prank
flush the
call
toilet.
somebody later.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Prank
you
call-
guys,
prank
you guys
call
want to prank Adam?
Yes.
We'll call him on my phone and he'll just have caller ID. Hey man, is your fridge running?
Wait, can you do that more like Dana Carvey in this movie?
Oh God, I fucking hated that laugh.
Oh man.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's just get into it.
Trapped in Paradise,
Before-
1994. Starring Nick Cage as Bill Firpo, John Lovitz as Dave Firpo, and Dana Carvey as Alvin Firpo.
I'm going to give you a fun fact just because we were talking about that laugh. Dana Carvey based his character or his voice for this movie on one of the producers and a young Mickey Rourke. Somebody from 20th Century Fox had to fly out and tell him to stop doing the voice, and Nicolas Cage told him to keep doing it, so he just kept doing it. I mean, this movie had no rules. There was no adult supervision.
Not at all. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's so many great like behind the scenes stories of just these guys fucking off.
I'm sure. So this is a movie about three brothers who find themselves in Pennsylvania robbing a bank, and the robbery is foiled through the kindness of the town. Womp womp. But it gets better. So that's my brief synopsis.
That's about right. Wow, 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 wow.
Good morning, Seattle.
Oh, great. The comedy
The
police
cops.
are after Bad cop.
Man, we need to just start with like the second half of our podcast because they're always funnier.
Yeah, so in this movie, Nicolas Cage is playing Bill Firpo. He's, I'm guessing, the middle child of the three brothers.
John Lovitz and Dana Carvey are
In jail.
in jail. They are like on parole, but they are lifelong criminals.
Mm-hmm.
And I think early on we're kind of led to believe that Nick Cage,
Well, he has a checkered past.
he has a checkered past, but not as bad.
Right. He's tried to atone for it. He finds a wallet and like ends up, giving it back, but he
Mails it
really
back.
struggled
Yeah.
because it had like $800 in it. He's a manager at some restaurant.
I do love the line when he goes to confession about the wallet because he feels bad that he even had thoughts of keeping it. It's like, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been 2 weeks since my last confession. And the priest just goes, is that Bill Firpo? It's been 5 years since you've been in here.
Yeah, that was good.
Did you guys think that was fucking Paul Schrader?
Oh, as the priest? No, because I don't mentally project him into anything I'm doing anymore. It's like, anymore.
is
I
this a-
used to, but
Is this
not
a
anymore.
Slender Man situation? You just see Paul Schrader everywhere you go now.
It is a nightmare for me.
You're like, is this movie going to be funny? Oh, is that Paul Schrader? No! Yeah, so he's Bill Firpo, Nicolas Cage, is just trying to live a straight life, finds out his brothers are getting released early parole. I love Dave's speech at the parole board because he just starts in talking about dinosaurs and pterodactyls and how they fly over their problems and all this. And the parole board's just like, what? Is there a point to this? Just skip to the end. And he's like, oh, okay. And he like mentally fast forwards for a second. He's like, and like the mighty pterodactyl, I will fly above all my problems. It's like, oh God.
Also, both these movies had great parole board scenes.
Yep. Good parole board scenes. Nice parallels again.
No, these
Yeah.
well, we can talk about this briefly at the end, but there were a lot of weird parallels in these two films.
It's like we've been given 64 different versions of the same movie, just presented through different eyes.
The NCU.
Yeah.
The Nick Cage universe. Oh man.
So they get paroled. Yeah, he has to pick them up.
I like how when John
remitted to
Lovitz
his
is
custody.
leaving the prison, he tips one of the guards.
Oh yeah, he just
like-
treats it like he's leaving an
get yourself
Italian
something.
restaurant.
Get yourself something nice.
John Lovitz is just like a chronic liar. Like he never tells the truth, and Dana Carvey plays a kleptomaniac. I mean, he's just stealing something in every scene. Like from the very beginning, he steals the parole board officials like tie pin.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm assuming he like shook his hand or like
Oh. Yeah, steals
no,
all
when-
the pens. in
Knowing
the bank.
Alvin, he probably hugged him at the
I was
end.
going to say, when you get paroled, you get to hug everybody. So
Oh, okay.
that's how it goes.
I also I do like when
I'm still on the lam, so I haven't.
Fortunately, we're going to record this in a new spot soon, so take that, cops.
Yeah.
You'll never take us alive, coppers. I do
Don't
like
give them the option, like the out. It's like, no, please try to take us alive.
Well, if the cops in this movie are any indication, they fucking shoot first, like regular cops.
and the last movie too. Again,
Yeah.
oh, I loved when Alvin, just being a kleptomaniac, he tries to steal the toy out of a box of Captain Crunch. Not the cereal. Doesn't want to take the whole box of cereal. He just wants the toy.
Yeah. And it must be terrible having a brother like that around because they're in this town in Pennsylvania and they're getting the materials they need to rob this bank, like ski masks and stuff. And he's just emptying out a box of cereal on the floor just for a plastic piece of shit toy. But then you get like a funny moment where he like takes the toy and like steps to walk away and it's just like Captain Crunch under his feet. And he sits there, looks at it, and then slowly takes another step. And it's like, 1994.
Yes, that very specific brand of comedy.
It is.
So yeah, the two boys are out on parole.
So John Lovitz told his mother and
Ma for
Bill that like he had this note and it was from another inmate and they were saying like, oh, check on my daughter, so and so stop story. So they, while in town,
Hang on, that scene where they make Ma Furpo read the letter,
oh yeah,
And what is it? If you don't, I will get out of prison and I will
rip off your head and shit down you.
yeah.
And she's crying at how beautiful this letter is.
So both very eloquent letter movies.
Again, another connection.
Yeah, the written word. It's powerful.
What I'm saying is we watched the same movie twice.
Yeah, but this time with John Lovitz.
Instead of John
Yeah.
Goodman, we changed John's.
Yeah.
Lesser John.
That's a John downgrade.
Yeah.
So yeah, they go to Pennsylvania because they got this letter, and then while out and about in town, fucking Alvin tries robbing someplace. Like he's taking the money out of the register, and then
That was in New York.
Yeah, in New York.
Okay.
And Bill is like, "Hey, stop it!" And then they get chased by the cops. Nicolas Cage, convinces the cop that he was an undercover cop from the Bronx or something,
Lower Queens.
Lower Queens, and thank you for being the detail guy today.
Again, I just, between travel and work this week, I just watched this movie at 10 o'clock last night.
Yeah.
So it hasn't even been 12 hours since
Hot
I
and
watched.
fresh.
Yeah, it's all in there.
Pretends to be a cop. Long story short, Dave convinces Bill that he left his wallet at the crime scene and the cops are coming to get him. So they run away and they run to Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that makes sense.
Yeah, I followed.
Well, you've seen the movie.
Yeah. When has that mattered for this podcast?
I'm fairly certain our entire audience does not watch these movies.
Except for jujitsu. The number of people have told me they've watched jujitsu because of our talking about jujitsu.
I think we should get a commission.
I think I have just more discerning friends because they are not watching jujitsu based on what we said.
I have a hard time believing you have more discerning friends considering you're friends with us.
I thought you were going to say friends, and I was like, dick move.
So yes, they go to Paradise, Pennsylvania.
Yep. In pursuit of Sarah, the daughter of this guy, they end up in this bank because there's a girl who works there named Sarah.
Sarah Connors?
That's
Terminator.
Okay.
Sarah.
Sarah sees something. It's close.
Yeah, Connolly.
Inconsequential.
Yeah. But a different different name.
Yeah.
Sarah, but different last name.
They go in, and
It doesn't matter. This character will never be developed.
yeah, it's the girl from Twin Peaks.
A different one
A
from
different
last week.
girl. Yeah. They're in there and then they just like see how fucking robbable this bank is because obviously this is what Dave brought them down there for.
The security guard is 100 years old and is asleep.
Yeah, and won't wake up for anything.
The cameras aren't plugged in.
Yeah.
Like the wires are just hanging from the cameras.
It's ripe for the plundering.
And similar to the last movie, they get there right as like there's a ton of money coming into the bank.
Right.
Dave is just like, man, check this place out. And Bill's like, it's like, doesn't matter. There's no money in the vault. And right as the door gets kicked in with giant bags of money with like practically has dollar signs on them.
Yeah. Bank is re-upped. They got that going for them. So they decide they're gonna rob this bank.
I do want to talk about that scene though, because they're driving away. Bill gets them out of there and they're driving away from the bank, and Bill just says, man, if I had a gun, I'd go back in there and rob the bank right now. And Dave's just like, so
What
Bill,
if I told you?
what if I told you there were some guns in the trunk? And then they,
yeah, because he got the car from a gun runner.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a high likelihood that there's guns in the trunk.
Nick Cage like pulls over on the side of the road, like,
shotguns.
you're telling me there's guns in that trunk? I'm like, telling you where I got it from. I was like, but you haven't seen them. No. And then opens it and Dana Carvey's like, hey, there's guns in the trunk. This movie had its moments.
It did. Like, it's not the same like writing style. Also, kind of funny that both movies are writer-director combinations. So this written by the
George the director of this film wrote the first two Bad Boys films.
So we're fucking on top.
Yeah.
They robbed the bank. We'll just get right through this.
Yeah.
They robbed the bank. Then
there's another great bank robbery scene where someone like raises their hand and has something to say about how they're robbing the bank.
Yeah. For me, this movie, I felt pretty solid on this movie. Then we get to the bank robbery scene, and I'm like, I just didn't like it so much. I appreciate what they were doing, because like they get in there, they're robbing the bank, but the bank vault is locked because the bank manager is at lunch across the street. So the wife of the bank manager, who has explained this to us, is taken across. Then Nicolas Cage and Dana Carvey are in the restaurant, and then they have to redeclare that it's a robbery, but they have to specify it's a bank robbery. So they take everybody from the restaurant back to the bank.
I loved that
because they didn't want any witnesses.
Yeah, because Dana Carvey's like, well, if we leave them here, any one of them can call the cops.
Yeah.
So they escort everyone across the street.
And now they just bring everybody into the bank, and it's meanwhile fucking John Lovitz is telling stories and like coaching people
breathing.
on like Lamaze and stuff on like how to just get through it. I don't understand what Lamaze is. I'm going to say that right now because I'm not a childbearing human yet.
It's probably the most PC thing you've ever said on this podcast.
Yeah, maybe.
But they bring everybody back to the bank and finally, get the vault open, get the money, and leave. As they're leaving town, a blizzard is rolling in, and this is how we get the name Trapped in Paradise, because now they can't get out.
I want to just throw this in here right now. Speaking of the blizzard, my favorite fun fact about this film is because they needed the whole town to be covered in snow, they used 75,000 pounds of custom biodegradable potato flakes to add to the snow on the ground.
Yeah, it's like Idaho flakes.
Yeah, and they were from Idaho.
Yeah. When we were watching this, Josie was just like, how are they even trapped? These roads are clear. Like, they're freshly plowed throughout all the movie.
Yeah, the criminals have no problem getting to paradise.
Yeah. It's just like all these potato flakes are just the mounds of snow that they've built up to make it look like there was a lot of snow, but it's been plowed. It's like anybody could drive out of there. As Sean said, some criminals from New York whose original idea it was their idea to rob this bank. John Lovitz and Dana Carvey just got out first and then robbed it. And then when these criminals got out, they went on a little adventure.
That scene with the criminals in prison was fucking stupid. Where it's it's them talking about this whole situation, and they're like, tell the story about your daughter's bank again. And he tells the story, and it's like, hey, did you hear those Furpos got out? Well, also, the bank just got robbed. Convenient.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
No, it was bad.
That's absolutely true. It's a bad scene.
It's a terrible scene.
So much of this is just like, I mean, you get so many scenes in this movie where it's just presentational. It's like, okay, there has to be this plot point. We don't know how to like eloquently get through it. So here is people giving you the story.
Yeah.
Like
I wrote ham-fisted.
it for you.
Oh yeah, no, it's exposition, baby.
Yeah. Then they went down. Well, they kidnapped Ma Furpo, and you get lots of good Ma Furpo being a sassy old lady and annoying the robbers or the criminals, and then they go down to paradise and hijinks.
Hijinks do ensue. So after they rob the bank, they try and get out of paradise because once you've done a crime, you generally don't want to stay around. There's that scene where Dana Carvey like is just revving the engine because he wants to just see how high he can get the needle to go, and then just peels out.
Oh, yeah.
right when they get to the car.
Does the classic like drives away when you get to the door.
Yeah,
And then,
twice. So they have a stolen car, go back to their car, but while driving out of town, cop sees them, starts chasing them. They go over a bridge, and they get picked up by a good Samaritan going back to paradise, Wedwalk West style. But it is the son of the bank manager.
Yeah, so then they end up having Christmas Eve dinner with the bank manager and the bank manager's wife. And
Sarah
this is where all the
upstairs.
kindness keeps coming out. And it's like they take care of them because they, don't have any luggage or clothing, and they give them like clean clothes.
They give them their Christmas presents to each
Yeah.
other, which are clothes. This isn't my quote for the movie, but this has one of the most just disjointed lines in the film, which is Sarah sees Nick Cage in the living room because she rents a room upstairs. It's like, what are you doing here? And he's just like, I've had a bad night that I'd rather not recount. That dog has 3 legs.
Yeah.
Which apparently the dog was just owned by someone in the town who the director saw like spectating one day, and they were like, let's get a 3-legged dog in this movie.
So the kindness of the town keeps kind of warming their heart, making them want to not take this money. They end up trying to like take the money back and like return it to the bank because Nicolas Cage sees that he still has the bank manager's keys. They fuck up trying to put it back in, end up setting off the alarm, and they leave the money at the local pastor's front door and tell him to like get it back to the people, and then they run off. I think my favorite part of the end of the movie was just them escaping in the horse and sleigh.
It was their 3rd or 4th escaped attempt.
Yeah. But now they steal the horse and sleigh from the mentally handicapped person and
Son of the sheriff, who is a deputy.
yeah. And I don't know, like they show him shooting later, and doesn't he hit somebody? He like shoots somebody? Yeah.
Yeah.
He saves the day. He knocks the gun out of one of the criminal's hands and then shoots the other criminal through the window.
And so for somebody who's that cross-eyed, being able to shoot straight, that was impressive.
I mean,
like he literally looked like one of the assholes from Spaceballs.
right. His eyes are crossed. Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
There's a pretty decent chase sequence where they're on the sleigh and like the FBI is doing a low budget Blues Brothers style like pile up behind them.
Yeah.
Which was kind of fun.
I gotta say, I loved Richard Jenkins as the FBI agent.
Yeah.
He's so fucking good.
What
Like, he's
the
a great
fuck
actor.
was his name? I tried looking
Agent
at it.
Pazer or something.
Yeah. What was his first name? It was like Sebulba. Sebulba Pazer.
Sebulba Pazer. That's my next D&D character.
Sebulba, Watto. You got all the good ones.
Yeah. So the town gets the money back. The bad guys get rearrested. Nicolas Cage and his brothers kind of get off,
Like the town, again, much like the last film, the town forgives them.
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah. Well, like the FBI agents there, okay, there's no money. There's no hard evidence, but there's a town full of people who saw them and they're like, yep, not these guys. They saved the town. The FBI agent also does point out that 2 of them have broken parole.
Well, parole violations is pretty below
Yeah, that's
the
fair.
FBI. So
Just nobody seems to care. But again, Christmas movie.
yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
I mean, this might be my new go-to bad Christmas movie, seeing as I can't really watch The Ref anymore thanks to Kevin Spacey. Fuck you, Spacey.
I'll keep that in.
It's cool to say fuck Spacey.
That's the movie.
Nick Cage
fine.
finds love at the end.
yeah.
Hooray.
Oh, yeah.
With a really boring person.
With a character who was never developed. Nobody was developed, but again, we said the director had no interest in directing this film. Without oversight, Nick Cage is wildly all over the place. You see every instant of caging out in this film.
I think this is the most cagey film that we've seen so far. I know he has some other ones that are crazier, but I made a note of it. It was like, holy fuck.
Every scene, every delivery, mid-delivery, he will change his candor. Like, this is not a consistent character at
And
all,
he's
I
the
love it.
straight man.
And he's the
in
straight
the 3.
man.
There's a scene that's very cagey, and it's when they're waiting for the bank key, and he just goes, key, key, when's he get back?
Or when he's just chasing the bank manager's wife around. Come here, I get you, come here. I do
The
like,
cop is coming after us. The cop is coming after
Yeah.
us.
most of my quotes involve him being mad at Dana Carvey.
Yeah. I didn't love to the point of remembering any Nicolas Cage stuff. It's like, it was good for what it was. And the performance he brought to the quotes was fine. None of them, I think, made it into like a requotable sentence for me. For me, like the best quote of the movie is a Dana Carvey quote, and it's just at the very end when Ma Furbo's like, "Oh, your brother's gonna get hitched. When are you two gonna get hitched?" And Dana Carvey's just like, "Hitched? We're not even attracted to each other."
That's a great line.
In reference to him and Dave.
There's also just another good little interaction when they first get out of prison and you see Dana Carvey, who is clearly not all there. They're driving away and Dana Carvey's just in the back seat and asks if they can stop on the way home to get some ring dings and milk.
Yeah.
And Nick
Ring
just
dings
goes,
and milk for the kid.
yeah. Ring dings and milk? Oh, sure. Then we'll get some balloons and go to a puppet show. What are you, 2 years old?
So my favorite quote
That
came
one is
like
good.
right after that too. So it's same car situation, and then he's explaining to them how because they're out on parole, he's in charge of them. So he says, "So quiet down, my little ones, and call me Dad."
Yeah.
Yeah, his performance is very weird in this. It's not super consistent. It's not in line, I feel like, with the I would say the tone of the movie, but it's all such a fucking mess.
Yeah.
I think because the director was so hands off on any of the performances, Cage just got to sort of do whatever he wanted.
Well, like according to John Lovitz, the director just didn't want to direct, and he just kind of told them to do whatever they wanted.
Which is wild. They're definitely trying to ride on that high of Nicolas Cage throughout the year.
Well, also this is like Dana Carvey and John Lovitz's like first film after leaving SNL.
Yeah.
And 1994 was a big year for Nick Cage. This was the fourth Nick Cage film to be released that year. We had Red Rock West, which was filmed a couple years earlier, but got released that year. Guardian Test, which we haven't seen, and It Could Happen to You. And two of those movies we will be discussing again later, as they've already made their way to the second round. But yeah, that was Trapped in Paradise.
Yeah, it was a fun movie. I enjoyed watching it.
Two weird comedy of errors. Tying it to Red Rock West. It's another thing where it's like, all right, a crime has happened. Now I'm going to leave town. Oh, wait, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm trapped here. So, fun times had by all. I think on an initial watch, I think I enjoyed the stupidity of Trapped in Paradise more, not having grokked onto what was going on with Raising Arizona immediately. But I think Raising Arizona is going to be more fun to watch a second time.
I would say definitely Raising Arizona through both of my watches. And the Coens are just they made it such a captivating movie.
They did.
Like, they caught me from the very beginning. They just hit you with such a great premise, walking Nicolas Cage in repeatedly, getting his mugshot done. And you see his relationship. It's so big. Everything is so big. It's like, Ed is such a hard cop. She's like, turn to the left. No, then next time it's like, she's a little softer. Then she's crying because her fiance broke up with her.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's the better movie.
Yeah, it is. And I am that one I'm so much more looking forward to rewatching and having a more self-aware view of it.
Yeah.
So next episode, we're back on to the serious bracket, and we have Leaving Las Vegas and The Runner, which I don't remember. I think it's a political
Never heard
thriller.
of that.
But I'm kind of excited because I haven't seen Leaving Las Vegas. Have you guys?
No, I've not. I've not seen any.
Yeah.
I've never seen a Nicolas Cage movie. That's a lie.
You've seen 20.
Yeah.
How about a little sign off?
I love you, Peter.
Oh, thank you.
You guys suck.
Do I have to say it back?
Goodbye, everybody.
Good night.
And
Good
God
morning.
bless. Hayden, jump down in the comments and tell
Explain
us like how
bracketology.
bracketology works.
Do it in the comments and don't do it to me while I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah. Actually whisper it to him in his sleep. Just
That's how it gets in deep.
just snake your way in.
Please don't.